on this episode of Does It Really Matter, I've got Rhiannon with me. I invited her on because her story is, I think, really amazing, from a place she was to where she is now, what she's created for herself, and not only for herself, but for other women, men. She's created the People's Healing Group, what is based in Glasgow. And I just wanted to invite her on just to talk about how she created that, why she created that, and all the amazing things she's doing. So, Ree, can you tell us a bit about yourself, why you created it?
So basically, I started doing this. I started it. Well, it started off as my own healing journey and just recording it online and things like that. So doing hill walking, cold water, and like going through lockdown, just trying to keep my mind at bay. My mind was just like constant. I had a lot of trauma. I had a lot of childhood trauma. I had no idea what it was. I didn't understand that you could carry that into your adult life. And when I went to the doctors, it was just like, you can go on these antidepressants, you go on these anxiety tablets. And I was just like,
Yeah,
I don't want to be in like tablets. Like, what can I do? So I started going online, and at that time it was, there wasn't ChatGPT or anything like that. So then I just basically started recording it and posting it on social media, and it was just like for my own memories and like to look back and see how far I came and things like that. And then
mm,
I went on a retreat, and that just kind of changed everything. And then I went on my sound bowl course, and then obviously, how hard it was at the very beginning. And when I done that
yeah,
course, I thought I was going to go into like a workplace, and I was going to have work, and I could, do it for free, so that I wasn't like charging anyone, because I didn't feel
mm,
that confident. I still had that fear, because at the end of the day, like when you're doing sound healing, you're working with people's energy. Um,
yeah.
so, it was hard. And then, like a couple of days later, that wasn't happening. And I was like, what am I going to do? I've spent all this money in a course. And I don't know about you, right? But when I look at things online, I don't look at the size. So I ordered these cards, these angel cards, and they came and they were like this. Have you ever heard that?
Unexpected that.
Have you ever heard that expression, crying over burnt toast? So it was like, that was my toast, that was me. And I was like, I can't do this. I had no money in the bank. All this equipment I spent my money on, the course itself, everything. And I didn't know how to put myself out social media. I didn't know nothing. So anyway, the cards were that small, I couldn't even shuffle them. And I just went, God, you know what, fuck this. I'm
Shit.
selling everything. It's not for me. I'm not doing it. And then there was one card that was facing up, and it said, don't stop. And I was just like, um, so I wanted to be different. So I was like, what can I do that's different? Because there's so many people out there that were doing sound baths, and, I would have to go and get the equipment anyway. I really wanted to get my garage converted, and I sacrificed my room so I then get into manifesting. But I wanted to be different, and I'm like, how can I give people something different? I'm a water baby, I'm a Pisces, so me and my mum were chatting, and she's like, why don't you do it at Loch Lomond, like on the water? And I'm like, on the water? I'm like, do I think that's going to work? So anyway, I came up with the pool. So I looked at all these pools in Scotland. I think I spent a full week, and I think, my family were really concerned about my mental health, because when I get an idea and I focus on it, and I become like essentially obsessed with it. So it's like I think
Yeah,
about it morning, noon and night, and I journal things down, and I was phoning up all these pools, and I'm like, nah, I'm not paying 500 quid. Like, how much, I'm not
wow.
going to make any money. Then I was going and looking at public pools, and then there was this one that I went and seen. It was like a gym looking down, and I was like, it's not the fit for me, because a lot of women who come into my space are women from like domestic abuse, violence, or trauma from relationships, and I think that's
Mhm,
because it's my story, and I connect to it so
mhm.
well. And, I just thought, no, they need privacy, they need something else. So anyway, I came across this pool. I didn't know the number. I went to the women's door, and my friend's like, you can't go and just chat up somebody's door. And I'm like, you can.
You
Get you.
can. Watch me.
I'm like, this seed's been planted in my head. And, and I think when you become obsessed, like the algorithm kind of brings things up as well. So I kept seeing like all these like sounds coming up on TikTok, and it would be like the universe will not put a business idea in your head if it's not going to give you clients, if it's not going to give you money, and things like
Yeah.
that. So anyway, I chat the women's store and explained what I was going to do, and she was just looking at me as if to say, "I've got no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds great." And
Mm.
then she asked me what my name was, and I said Rhiannon, and she's like, "Fuck, no way!" And I was like, "Oh my god, do you know that? Yeah, oh my god, do you know somebody with the name Rhiannon?" Like, because that sometimes when somebody really pisses you off, or
Yeah.
you hate somebody, that name haunts you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, my hands were shaking, they were all sweaty. I'm like, I'm not getting this pool. And she's like, no, I've got a Fleetwood Mac camper van outside, and look, it's called Rhiannon. I'm like, if that's not a sign for the universe.
Wow. Wow, I love that.
So it started off as that, and then the more that I got into that pool, I got like, I didn't want to just bring people on and put them in the bed in the sound bath and go, right, off you pop, that's it. So there's like so much more to that space. So, you're getting access to a pool and a sauna, and, different other, there's lots of wee different bits I do, like coming up to new moons, full moons. I'm not doing any more full moon bookings ever. Don't work for me. I get tested to the highest level. All my shit comes up. I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm on a healing journey as well. So,
We all are.
life is life, and for me as well. And,
Yeah.
and I always say to people come like, you look as if you've got your shit together, and I'm just like, I just know how to edit videos as a marketing way. I am like the most human person you've ever met.
Yeah.
And, one of
Yeah.
the, like, I keep having these conversations with people, and they're like, in spirituality, and it's like, wear like different clothes, and I was like, you don't have to have dreadlocks and angel cards in your back pocket. No, you don't. You can walk about in gym gear, you can wear jeans, you can just, at the end of the day, we're here to be human. We're not here to be spiritual, but we're here to be human. So creating that space, and then what it's like once you put yourself out there on social media and things like that, other people look at your ideas and think, oh, I can jump on that, or I can make money from that, or whatever. So sometimes your ego comes in there as well. So you're having to go for that. And then, so, I think when things like that happen as well, it's like the universe is like testing you and pushing you. Like, it's as if they know your ideas are there, but you don't know. So
Yeah.
pushes you onto that path. So I've got lots of exciting things for 2026. But I just feel as if 2025 has like been the year to just end me.
It's not.
Pull me up. And then, I seen it's the year of the snake, and obviously the snakes shed their skin, and and then they're coming into the year of the horse, and like that'll push you for, and then that's a different story about the horse. But I just, so it's my days.
You got time.
Getting on the, like, from conversation to conversation. So yeah, just basically like starting off with my own journey, and I think, going into COVID, I was on my own with a baby, and no support, and we were lived in that constant fear. Like, looking back now, you just think it's absolutely ridiculous that we followed all the rules and done all that shit. But anyway, I was basically confined between four walls with a 10-year-old and a newborn baby, trying to breastfeed because I was paranoid that I kept seeing on social media that we're running out of baby milk and nappies because everybody was panic buying at that time.
Yeah.
So I was learning how to breastfeed, and it was, my mental health took like a real dip, and my journey actually started. I went to my mum's cousin for hypnotherapy, and she subconsciously took me back to a memory in my mind at 5 years old, and that's where my trauma started. And I'm looking at her as if to say, "She talk about it."
It's fucking crazy. Yeah.
And, and it just, and so then I thought, one way to heal trauma is, my trauma is men, and I thought one way to heal trauma was, going working with a man. And anyway, I came across someone who's my dear friend now, Peter. He's fantastic. So I went with him, and, he was doing healing the way to touch my face, and I had jumped out my skin, and he's like, don't worry, that'll happen in time. Like, you'll heal that stuff in time. So just the last 5 years have flowed, like the flew in, right? But I feel as if I'm just starting on my healing journey. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, I don't know how many trees I've hugged. I don't know. I don't know how many walks I don't know how many walks I've jumped myself. I don't know how many mountains I've climbed, you know, and I'm like, no, this is actually where the real work starts now, like doing that shadow work. And I've done an a and I thought your spiritual journey or your healing journey was, you start at the start and you go along and you tick all these boxes and go, yes, that's me, as if you're at like uni or like
Yeah.
college or uni, and you go all through
Mm.
these bits. It's not. It's like you could do inner child work and then 2 years later, or well, from my experience, inner teenage work, and then 2 years later, the universe could bring that person in that causes trauma, and you're like, no, I done the work in that like 2 years ago. Why is that? But it's like testing you to see, like, have you really, really, really healed from this?
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, for me, I find, and I can only speak for me, not for anyone else, it comes in layers.
oh,
Like,
100%.
so even though you've done like, I've healed trauma, have I still got trauma to heal? I've probably got trauma I don't even know I've got to heal yet. And I won't find it out till a year, 2 years, 10 years, a month. I don't know. But when it comes up, and then I'll be like, all right, okay. So for me, it's kind of come in layers.
Yeah.
That's how I can explain it for myself. And you touched on, so you're not doing no more full moons. Could you go into that a bit more?
Oh, so every time, like, I actually remember my mum came, I turned my phone off. It was like a couple of full moons ago, right? Turned my phone
Mm,
off, didn't speak to anybody. I was really, really tested. Like, it was quite not alarming, or it was a really emotional, basically something happened to me when I was 15, and I was healing on it through my son, and I didn't realise I was healing on it through my son. So he went through something very, very similar. It was very, very dark, and it kind of triggered me. And then I basically went to a cafe, and this person who I hadn't seen in 20 years sat next to me. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how's that possible? Why is this happening to me now? Like, it's, healing anything is never easy. So anyway, I just kind of like ignored my phone, never spoke to anybody. My mum chatted me, really worried. Um,
mm.
and she came in, I was lying on the couch, like, she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, just waiting at this film to pass. Then I'll be back.
Yeah.
So it seems to be like every full moon it'll come up, and it's like, I'm really tested. Like, I went to my pools. So I thought the first one might be just by a wee coincidence, right? But it wasn't. It was like,
Mhm.
I came up, I'd been tested. So my car broke down. Then my tyre went flat. Then when I got there was beds that were losing air. There was women who,
Mm.
were like really emotional, really. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what is actually happening? And, things like that. So then I thought, it might just be a glitch or whatever. So I done another full moon event. That was even worse. I couldn't get a babysitter. My son was, like having an episode. Again, situations with car. Getting there, like, I'd opened out
Yeah.
my bed. There was ones with like big hole, and I was just like, what is going on? And I've got clients coming in who expect to come in, and, they're put straight on a bed, and, everything's going to be great. And I'm sitting there. So before I'm going, I'm having to, like, really de-stress myself and do my
Mm.
meditations and pull a card out for myself. And the angel answer cards are great. And it's, every time I go, I never get what I want. So every time I pull cards for something, like, that's a lovely card. And I get things like, reconsider, no, don't stop. I'm like, what? There's always like full moon events. I just kind of like to kind of like stay in my peace, but it always seems to be things round about me that break, or you know, that one there just passed. Phone broke, laptop broke, washing machine broke, like, and I was just
Yeah.
like, and before, and I'm such a drama queen. I don't know if that's a Pisces thing, but I'm like, what is actually, like, I just need a break. So it's like that little bit of money came in, and then that's it, it's gone straight away. So it's like, so
Mhm.
this next year, I'm like, right, I need to, flip that energy, because I was going through a stage where it was like, I don't know if because I was manifesting money, and then, you know, I was finding like a pound coin at the washing machine, and I'm like, no,
Mm.
not that kind of money. So
No.
again, it's like, what? So again, it's like learning how to be specific. What I was doing, like,
Yeah.
was because I was in a situation where I was struggling to get my bills paid, so I was manifesting my bills getting paid, but I wasn't being specific. So it was like just my bills getting paid. So now
Mhm.
going forward, it's like I want to have my bills paid and more.
Mm.
Because I think sometimes people look at you online and think, you know, she's really got it together and, you know, must live a good life because I'm away places and all that. And it's like, I'm literally not. Like, you know, I struggle the
Yeah.
same as, you know, as everybody else. And I think when you do throw yourself into business, it's really, really hard to, you know, put yourself out there and be affordable, but still like make a living basically as well. So and still
Yeah.
be a single parent and still be on a healing journey and live
Yeah.
by
And
government
life.
rules.
Yeah. And just life. I mean, so I've said, like, yeah, I can do energy work. So can everyone. It's not just you, you're not special. Everyone can do it. I can
Yeah,
channel, so can everyone.
yeah,
Yeah. But I still have very human days where I lose my shit and my brain's not functioning. Actually, my brain actually is not functioning more often than not. And I'm having to apologize where I've just like lost my shit at like one of the girls or Ben. And I'm like, oh, or is my diet together? No. Is
yeah,
it that I'm trying to come off coffee. So, like you said, we're here to be human. We're already, for me, we're already spirit, so we're already that. We're
yeah,
already that, and we want to come here to be human
yeah.
and dive in the emotions, even though they can be shitty and hard. But for me, I'm like, I'm not trying to not look at them as shitty anymore. I'm like, what's this trying to teach me? Okay, then, thank you. But then a part of my human goes,
I
but
know,
thank you.
I know.
That's kind of how I deal with the shitty bits. The really, really human bits. So for what you've created, the People's Healing Group, what is it you offer? Do you offer single, because I'd like to get to what you offer to your clients. I know you do sound healing and you do cold water. Yep. Hill climbing. I remember when you took me, you said we're just going to go on a little walk, and I couldn't walk for 3 days. I come back home.
You're like, I'm not going anymore. And I'm like, yes, you are.
It done me. Like, it absolutely done me. Um, but it was really good for my mind. For my mind, it was really good. And you do your cards. Now, what else do you offer? And do you offer them? Because I know you do retreats as well, don't you? You do
So
retreats.
basically, yeah, I know there's a lot of people that, you know, who want to go to spiritual things and they want to hear from someone who's passed away and they want that comfort or they want to know about their future and things like that. Obviously, I don't connect to anyone. Yeah, so I like teach more on like the human side, like when life gives you lessons, or you know when you're in that
Hmm.
depressed mood and you can't get out your bed and you can't focus because a lot of my clients at companies will from like relationship breakdowns or like domestic
Hmm.
violence or being a single parent and not getting access to things. So I
Hmm.
teach about like how to manifest like a better life for yourself, how to, you know, get up and get yourself back on track, because at the end of the day, I learned that nobody's coming. So nobody's coming to save you.
We're our own saviour.
Nobody's coming to get you out of bed in the morning. Nobody's going to come with like a wee, you know, a wee sprinkle feather duster and be like, hand you a coffee. I mean, I would love to do that. I would love to drive, you know, I would love to get like a big bus and just chat people's door with a coffee and a wee feather dusting. But come on,
Yeah,
let's go into the mountains.
yeah,
Like my like, help is on the way, dear.
yeah. And a little walk turns out to be a long walk up a mountain.
Yeah. So just basically like setting yourself goals and going forward, and also allowing yourself to like relax and go into that sound bowl experience, and basically raising your vibration. Because what have I learned, this is just me, so I always go by myself. I don't go for anyone else. So basically, when I went to the doctors and things like that, they would be like, "Oh, it's depression you've got, and it's anxiety." And then when I went further forward, I learned that, you know, I was in a low vibration and a high vibration as well at the same time, and that wee bit in between. So it was like, you know, trying to get that. So when I'm in that low vibration, it's like I'm in my studio and I put music on and I dance. And by the way, I can't dance, so that's why I don't record myself, because it is like I've got two left feet, probably this right. But I really go for it, right?
Yeah.
But it's like it's learning how to like work on your mental health that way, and because sometimes I can't get to Loch Lomond all the time, so I get the cold water tanks out the back. One thing I need to work on is being scared of the dark, and I've not quite worked that out, if that's from like a childhood trauma or a past life or both. I don't know.
Hmm.
So that's something that I keep putting off and off and off. But now that I've
Or
got this
maybe
horse,
the unknown.
maybe I don't. I'm not sure. I can't work it out. But now that I've
Mm.
got that horse, I'm up there at night time, and it's anyway the guy the guy that owns the yard watched me on the CCTV and said he's never seen something so funny in my life. And he says, there was nothing beside you. But I'm like, there really was something. And he's like, I watched in the camera, there was nothing there. And I'm like, no, there did. But you just see me with like the head torch on, and then it's like, it's like your body just kicked in, and that, but you didn't close the gates. You just went right in your car, and I just remember like absolutely shitting myself, like because it's in the middle, and it's in the middle of nowhere. There's no way
Hmm.
electricity. There's one wee tiny light. Once the lights go
Hmm.
down, like that's it. And that, like, I remember like getting in my car and I was like hyperventilating, and I'm like, I'm 35. What's going on? But my trauma is being passed down to Ria, so she's now scared of the dark as well. And I'm like, shit, I've caused that. So
Mm.
it's like, you know,
Yeah.
that's my next thing. But anyway, I've not done it yet.
It's Ray, honestly, like I went in to my girls and I was like, girls, um, you're gonna have trauma. I've passed it down onto you. I've had to forgive myself. So that was a big one for me, forgiving myself for the trauma I passed down onto them unknowingly, because I didn't know. Um, so I've had to forgive myself, but you've probably got things to unpack. If you want to talk about it,
Yeah,
I'm here, because the only thing I can do for them is change me. I can't do
yeah,
nothing else. Nothing
no,
else for them apart from change me and work on me. I think when you come to know that and realise that, I don't know. I don't know how it is for you. Like, it just feels like a weight's lifted. I don't know how that feels for
Well,
you. Like,
I mean, I've got a guilt because, you know, when Aaron was born and Mia was born, I was two completely different people. So when Aaron was born, I was 20 years of age. I wanted to like fit in, and I was in that party scene. And, you know, when he went to his dad's, I was out on a Friday, wasn't home on a Sunday
mm,
morning sometimes. I was my grand's carer as well. There was a lot of family trauma there. There was a lot of, in my
mm,
family, there's like, you know, there's a lot of addiction as well. It was really,
mhm,
really hard. I thought I had an addiction. I ended up actually going to meetings and stuff like that as well. But I found getting into that, it was very, very, I could feel the toxicity. Like I
yeah.
could feel the energy. And, you know, I was sitting in these rooms and it was like the first thing I had to say was, I am Rhiannon, and I'm an addict, or I'm an alcoholic. And I'm like,
So
but
you're
I'm not.
reinforcing it. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, so when someone calls, when you say that every single day, it's like, and I'm not saying that recovery's not great. I mean, it's saved lives. It's, you know, the man who designed that book. But again, it was with me, I'm a rebel. As soon as it comes to a man, I'm like, I'm not fucking following that. Like, I hate it. And you know me, when you first met me, I'm like, I'll never have a man in my life. And, you know, I was very in my masculine energy, very independent. Now I'm like,
Mhm.
you know, met somebody and I'm cooking dinners and I'm like, and it's like I'm very, very emotional, and I'm like, that's a different story. But yeah, you know, going through that, and you know, that went on for right up until he was 10. So, you know, that was like, and the thing is, I was young, like I don't regret as well, like being young and going all the holidays and, and enjoying myself. But I was enjoying myself until the point where I wasn't enjoying myself anymore. And it was,
Yeah.
my son's done a lot as well. My son's seen me, in bed, like couldn't get out of bed for days, and when
Mm.
certain things happened or relationships came in, it was toxic as well. And it was like, I think the nail in the coffin was for me was when I couldn't get out of my bed, and my son he made me soup and brought it into my bed, and I was just like, that's not right. That's not right.
Mm.
So when me and I was pregnant at the time, but that wasn't anything to do with alcohol. That was a relationship breakdown. So that kind of that made me ill. I was like physically ill. I was turning into a stalker online. I was like, giving it like, what has she got that I've not got? And, I was
Mm.
becoming obsessed with it, and it totally consumed my life. And, that's the main reason why I got into cold water and hot water, because I just wanted my brain to stop. And,
Yeah.
as a woman, and I've read this before as well, you never ever forget how you're treated when you're pregnant, and you don't ever forget. And it was, I had my biggest lesson in that was no response is a more powerful response than any response, because what I was doing is
Yeah.
I didn't realise at the time I was getting gaslit, and I was like, and it was, I turned into this like psychotic human being who was, obsessed like with, what was going on with their life, and I wasn't concentrating on what was going on in mine. So I decided at that point when the baby was here that I wasn't going to drink anymore, because I thought I can't do this.
Mm.
So the alcohol wasn't great, and then I started to change my diet and things like that as well. Lost a bit of weight. Then you get that
Mm.
confidence back as well. So see, for me personally, it was like when I was heavy, it was like that's always when a man commented on my weight, and it sticks in your
Mhm.
head. So I think
Yeah.
as well, going along your journey as well, like you realise like people's words. Like, do you ever hear that expression like sticks and stones won't break my bones, but names
Yeah.
will never hurt me? And I'm like, whoever made that is absolute bullshit, because I'd rather have my
Yeah.
arm broke than someone,
Yeah.
emotionally like, like saying things, and because it does. And I even remember like as far as going back to high school and was told like, oh, you talk too much and you'll never ever amount to anyone. And I feel like going to chat in their doors now going, well, look at me now.
Yeah.
I get paid to talk.
Do you know what, Ree? So I can't remember what daughter I said it to. I was like, don't say that. And they're like, oh, we're only like having a laugh. And I'm like, mm. I used to be like kind of, let's say, I'd take the piss, but jokingly, yeah, because
Yeah.
I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I see it a lot, so I become it. And then, so I take the piss joking around. But now I'm just like, "Don't say that. That's not a nice thing to say." And I can't remember. I can't remember what daughter it was. And they're like, "Oh, but we're only joking about." But you carry that. So me, I'm really trying to work with the better I speak to myself,
Yeah.
the better I speak to others.
Aye. And the thing is, we are the worst speaking to ourselves ever. Like ever. Like, have you ever noticed as well, like, say you're in a group photo, right? And you're in that group photo, your eyes automatically go straight to yourself. You don't look at anybody else in the group. You go straight to yourself. How do I
Mm.
look? Do I look okay? How's my makeup? How's my hair? And we all do it. And it's like
Yeah.
that's like so wrong. And I would love for people to see each other as like their souls, and like,
Yeah.
right, that's a good soul. That's needs a lot of work. No, that's a bad soul. It's like, and the thing is, even when you come across like bad people or like people that bring in your lessons and stuff like that, they don't come, dressed like even like they say like when the devil's in disguise. Like they
Mm.
don't come dressed like an abuser or someone who's not. They come into your life like most of them are very attractive looking, and things like that. They kind of mirror you as well, like kind of, and that's the whole love bombing thing comes in as well. And then when you look at them, once that they're off that pedestal, you look at them and go, what was that? And that goes for everything, like relationships, friendships, work colleagues, like anybody that you come across. And I really wish that, society didn't do that to us, and we had that advantage of just like looking at each other's souls, but we don't. We really don't.
Mm. Yeah. So I created a course, limitation to liberation, because for me, I don't know what it's like for you and for your clients who you work with, self-talk and learning how our brain reacts to ourselves, how it talks to us, but then how it talks about others as well in our head,
Mm.
because we have a dialogue. And like you say, we're not taught this stuff. We're not taught to watch our inner dialogue with ourselves, what it goes back to. And so that's one of the reasons I created the calls, because I kind of put it in practice with me. So I'm doing, let's say, better than what I was. Do I still have human days where I slip up? Yeah. But I think if we were just aware of how we talk to ourselves, and we can then step aside and notice. So you've got the energy talking to the human, but then your awareness is here, so you're witnessing it, and then you can, because our brain is like an algorithm, see, like a computer algorithm. So the more you give it, so with anxiety, oh, you're anxious today, so it's like an algorithm. And this is only from my perspective. I'm not a doctor. I'm like, this is just from my perspective. So some people are going to go, yeah, I'll get that. Some people are going to go, you're talking a load of shit, and that's fine, because to them I may be. That's fine. But if you go like, I've got anxiety today, your brain will go, oh, you've got anxiety today. Be anxious about this, about this, about this, about this. Oh, you want to experience anxiety today? Okay, then we'll experience that. So it kind of works like an algorithm. And I found that fascinating when I kind of come across it for myself. Now I talk to myself. So that's why I kind of put it together a bit. Mm, so for you and the People's Healing Group, would you say this is assisting you on your healing journey as well? The more you do with your clients and the men and women, the more you're just learning more about yourself, and if you want to say healing yourself and learning different parts of yourself. So it's not, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not just, oh, I'm a teacher and this is what we're doing. It's like, oh, me doing this with you, you're assisting me on my journey as well.
Yeah, 100%. And, that wee pool has basically, essentially saved my life. And there's never been a day where I'm like, I don't want to go there. Do you know what I mean? So it's like every time I go there, I know I'm going to meet someone. And the thing is, we don't meet people by chance either. There's how many people in the world is there we met, I find that as well, like really fascinating. There was one time where I was really, really not well, and I got taken into hospital, and then, I was told plenty to rest and not to walk too much. And, so I went through that whole thing with having like pneumonia and pleurisy and blood clot in my lung, and I couldn't how walk. I mean, told me I couldn't how walk. I was devastated, but I was like, I'm going to my work. I'm going to my work, and my mum and things were like, my partner saying, you can't. You're just at a hospital, and I'm like, no, I'm going to my work. And when I went to my work, I said, someone needs me that's going there. And I don't want to share too much on her life, but she was going through a very, very difficult grieving process. And she's like, I really, really needed this. And I was like, I was actually going to cancel. She's like, I'm so glad you did it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not like a 9 to 5. I mean, that like almost destroyed my mental health doing all that. But I feel as if I've been called to do that. I mean, I was a crime scene cleaner. I worked for my mum's cleaning company for years and hated it. But,
Mm.
it was everything is everything that's meant for you is, in each path. And I found as well that, until you're ready, like everything will come in alignment as well. So obviously when I was manifesting my garage and stuff like that, so say that's my garage, in order for me to go through that door and essentially go through that, I had to work through things, I had to go through things, I
Yeah.
had to be ready, because what I was manifesting my studio for was essentially is to work with people. So I had to be
Mm.
ready, I had to have experience, and things like that. And I would never ever turn around and say like, I'm a special at this, or I'm a master at this. No, I'm a young woman who has been through a lot of shit that, a lot of people haven't. And it's like the universe keeps throwing me in the pit, and I keep like, dragging myself back out. And,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And the amount of
Yeah.
people out there go through this accident, and I'm like, no, you're not alone. Like, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying my story's worse than anybody else's, because it's not, but it's like, it's kind of like when I do these things, like the retreats and the pools and the working one-on-one with clients and doing the cold water stuff, it's kind of like the universe saying to me, like, you didn't go through that for nothing. So like
Yeah.
that wasn't for nothing. So this is leading you to
Mhm.
go through, like, you know, your things, and especially me getting into like a new relationship now as well, and it's a healthy relationship, and like I'm not joking, that's nobody prepares you for that. Like, you know, someone who
Mm.
actually sits and listens, and you know, someone who, you know, forces you to talk through stuff, and it's like I'm waiting on the screaming, the shouting, the hitting, and and it's like my
Mm.
body's in fight or flight, and I'm like, what's going? I just want to run, and then I'm like, am I now the red flag? That
Shit.
turned into the
Wow.
because I'm
Mm.
more conscious now, and I'm conscious of my actions,
Mm.
and you know, my words, and things like that as well. And it's like, you know, and I seen this thing as well, and it was like, you know, like, if you go into a relationship and you both get baggage, like, what do you do? Do you step over each other's baggage and keep tripping over it, or do you just help each other unpack it as you go? And that's like basically what it is. It's like going through the different layers, and like being in a healthy relationship as well tests you just as much as what, you know, a toxic one does.
Yeah.
It forces you to sit down and be accountable. It forces you to, like, you know, feel your feelings, and go through things. And it's like, you
Mm.
know, being insecure, fear of abandonment, like that kind of thing,
Mhm.
but not, you know, putting
Yeah.
too much pressure on each other. And how do you love
Mm.
your, you know? And it was like, when I was dead weird, because I was like, how do I actually cope with this? Like, you know, I can be
Mm.
myself, but it's like when it comes, because obviously when you're going on dates and stuff like that, it's fine, because you can shut your door and you can, you know, leave your house as it is. But then when they start coming in, and I was like, "I- I've not,
Yeah.
I've not let anybody in here for years," and I'm like, I need to do this, and I need to move this about, and it's that getting yourself like overworked, and like obviously
Mm.
just being human as well. But then in the back of my mind, it's like self-sabotage, and you know, is this going to kick off? Is this going to, you know, so relearning again. So it's like, it's great, and it's great to be human, but it's also like, this is some sort of, I lie in bed, I don't know if you're the same, right, but I lie in bed at night and I always think, I love um Dolores Cannon, so I always watch a lot of her stuff, right? But
Mhm.
it's like, I've manifested this coming in, and it's, you know, and then I was like, I wasn't ready for that. And then I'm watching, like, you know, I'm taking it to YouTube, like, ready for, like, I always research things and come across people, and, you know, they speak about things that I really relate to, or I listen to podcasts and relate to as well. But so, you know, I've got all of that going on in my life in the background as well. I've still got to have, you know, a normal job as well, because I know, I'm not saying that,
Mm.
you know, the spiritual world and doing things like that is not, it's not a normal job, because it is if you throw yourself in it 24/7. With me, I'm wanting to kind of look at it not as a full-time job, because I think if I put it into a full-time job, I think that'll affect my mental health. So I want to really enjoy it. So that's how I only do so many events throughout the year,
Yeah.
so many repeats.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you know, when I do my events, I come back, I'm absolutely shattered. I don't want to talk, you know, you're taking everybody's energy on. You have to close yourself down properly. I don't want to go on my phone. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to, you know, get my kids settled bed, and then, you know, have and sleep. So it's, sometimes it can be really, really difficult. So I don't want to
Yes.
force
Mm.
myself, and treat it as a full-time business, or a full-time job, because I think that's when
Mm.
you kind of become like, you know, over, because it doesn't stop. You don't open the doors at 9 o'clock and shut at 5 o'clock at night. You know,
So this is really interesting, Rhea, and I'm really sorry to cut
what I'm
in
saying.
because Tammy's brain, literally, it'll pop in, and sometimes, like, I can hold on to it for a little while, and then I'm like, oh no, it's gone. But you said something really interesting there, what I wanted to pick up on. And I wrote the word balancing down. So you said if you'd done this 24/7, like for your full time, not 24/7, for your full time job, can't even speak now, it would, it probably wouldn't be a fit for you because it'd be,
No,
nah,
because
if you
because you
want to put,
answer.
say, too much or whatever you want to
I
call it.
know.
And that's kind of, okay, I'm going to come at this from different perspectives. one way. Most people what are trying to create a business in the spiritual spiritual community wouldn't necessarily sit and just say what you've said.
They wouldn't, sorry, what?
They wouldn't sit and say what you've just said. Like, I don't want to do it as a full-time job, because a part of them, and they're not wrong for wanting to do it as a full-time job. And do you know what? When you said that, I was like, I'll get that. I feel that. And not that people do it full-time is wrong,
Yeah.
but everyone's different. So you're listening to you on what you want to do. And I think that's really, really refreshing, because let's just be really human for a minute here. You're not doing it because you want to do this, this, and this, and have all these people. Oh my God, Rhiannon, yeah, you're doing this, this, this. Like you said, you can take on people's energy, and you can find it like a bit. Is it draining? Would that be right to say? Correct to say? Like you'd be
I
like,
sometimes, and I think, you know, when you're doing like circles as well, it's like you're just, your body and your mind's just shattered, and it's not like in a negative way. It's just like, you know, you're taking everybody's energy. So, and you know, at the first, because obviously when I worked with Peter as well, like he was saying, and my auntie as well, she's clairvoyant, so she's been a massive help. So it's like at the beginning I wasn't closing myself down, and I was like taking on all this energy, and then things were happening. I was like, why is that happening? And my auntie was saying, like, you know, you're taking on people's, you need to close yourself down properly. So I'm glad that, you know, I learned how to do that as well. And the thing is as well, when I'm doing it, it's not, you know, I remember going to an event, right? And these women were talking about a spiritual awakening, and they were saying like, oh, my spiritual awakening was sunshine and rainbows and unicorns, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm going like, I'm in the wrong fucking place. It's like, you know, maybe that wasn't like, you know, maybe that was just another trauma. And anyway, I spoke to this other woman, and I said, she was like, are you okay? And I was like, and I just, you know, I mean, that's great that yours was sunshine and rainbows or whatever it says, but I nearly fucking died. I so felt like I
yeah,
nearly died. It was horrible.
yeah,
And it wasn't just, you know, it wasn't just one spiritual awakening. It was like, you know, there's been quite a lot.
few times.
There's been quite a lot that actually questioned my sanity, and I was like, I actually don't even want to be here anymore. Like, I really, I can't cope with this. And you know, this woman nudged me, and she's like, no, that's a spiritual. But do you know, but the thing is, again, it's like, it's going out there, and that's how I stopped doing that, because it's like misinformation as well. And I think a lot of people that you come across, especially like readings and stuff like that as well, like they feed into your energy, and they basically like tell you what you want to hear, and then be like, you know, that's £60. And you know, I've came across that a few times as well. And I'm like, I think when I went through and went all these different groups as well, I was like, what's actually going on here? Like, it was very, very toxic, like very, very toxic. And I was like, and I was scared to say anything, because I thought, is that a right thing to say? And because when you think spirituality and you think everybody's great, and you know, everybody's going to be love and light, and
Love and light. It's all bullshit.
like, hug each other around fires, and you know, go and find yourself in Loch Lomond, and it's not like that. It's not like that. And you know, and that's what scares me as well, is like putting myself out there and things too. And you know, when I'm saying I don't want it as a full-time job, it's like, I also don't want to have to rely on it for money as well, because that's when it starts to become draining, because you've got bills to pay, you know. And I mean, there was me, for example, away to Aldi the other day, and I got one dinner and snacks, and I was like 50 odd quid, and I'm like, you know, I just feel as if it's just constant money, like all the time, and it puts pressure on you. And I also love my photography as well. You know, I went to college and I studied that for years, and I love that. And I love making videos for people, and you know, I've just done my marketing degree, so I want to like help, like go into people's business and, you know, help them with their social media and videos. And because I mean, who actually really has time for that? Let's be honest, it took me fucking years.
Maybe I could be your first client, Rhi. I mean, you know me with technology,
so-
yeah? You know me with technology, Rhi. Like when I've seen you, literally, Ben has to do all the the video, like, or go through and do this because
See,
I'm like,
I know it says me that's great, all this, but I had to ask, Scott to go and connect the laptop to the internet. And it's like, I mean, just as well, and I'm like, it's because it's your laptop. If it was my own, I would know. So it's that, it's still having that like independence as well, and like not having to rely. That was a me thing with the day as well, and I'm like, I just had to ask him. I've just had to rely on him.
yeah. Do you know what? This has come up quite a bit as well. As society, we've been taught, and this is just from one perspective, that it's not okay to ask someone for help. Um, and we feel if we do, we just feel bad or we're not good enough. But then the human experience is like sharing,
I know,
maybe
and there's not.
from
I
a
know,
perspective.
yeah, and
Mm,
I remember I was a kid in the 90s, right, and it was just even my cousins say it, they're like, you can actually remember how everybody's house looked like, and it's weird that I can still do that. So like I can picture in my mind,
mm,
as me myself as an adult, and I'm walking through their houses, and it's like a VR game. It's weird, right?
mm,
And I can take myself back to memories, and then this is another thing that came up as well. Someone in my family was going through a really really hard time. And I was like in a VR set looking at trauma that happened to him at 6 years old. And he's like, how the fuck do you know that? And I'm like, I don't know. But then I wanted to close myself off to it because I was like, oh, I don't want,
yeah,
not just now, not just now. But yeah,
yeah.
it's like, what was I talking about there?
The VR, the
No,
VR set,
before that, oh yeah, so
you're
like
walking through
in
people's houses
yeah, so like
when you were
in
younger.
society, so there was a lot of women, and I always remember going into the kitchen and it was like loads of women and they were talking and sharing things and had support, and then a
Mm,
couple of them had passed away, and it was like then the women in our family then went into this masculine energy, and it was like driven, like
yeah.
they didn't have men, they didn't have, and I was that person as well for years. Like I didn't need a man. And it's like you're a product of your environment. So, they've done it
Yeah.
on their own, I've done it on their own. And then it kind of got to a bit in my life, and I was like, no, I think I would actually like really like to experience having someone there. And like, and there's nothing like that anymore. Like there might be some
You
places,
feel bad if you like, just say you're going through a bit of a harder time. You feel bad, like, oh, I don't really want to ask anyone for help, or I don't want to ask anyone for help.
but it's not, I know, but it's not even that as well. It's like, who are you asking help for, right? And it's like, are you asking the right people for help? You know,
This is it,
Are you
yeah.
asking the right people? Are you part of like a group where you're all completely secure in yourself, you've got each other back? Like, and through my journey as well, I always get people that come in and out, and it's like I question my sanity sometimes as well. So like I feel as if I've closed myself off a wee bit as well going through like a journey, because
Mm,
things happen and I'm like, I've told so much of myself, I've gave too much of myself. So then going into like the next people that I meet and I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk about this and I don't want to talk about that. And it's like, it shouldn't be like that. Like you should be able to be confident and say, I've fucked up, I need help. Take, for example, when I done the crime scene cleaning with my mum and stuff like that. And, we used to go into these houses and it was like hoarder houses, right? And
mm,
some people would look and go, how the hell can they live like that? When me and my
mm,
mum went in, even just watching the way my mum is with these clients, right? Her compassion, like, you know,
mm,
my mum could walk into somebody's house, right? And I'm no joking that the shit is like up to the light switch, right? Are just
mm,
rubbish, right? And
yeah,
she'll brazen walk in, make a wee space in the couch, sit down, whereas some people would look and go, I wouldn't even touch that with my toenail. She'll
yeah.
sit down, she'll speak to them one on one, and because at the end of the day, like that's a human being, and people don't just wake up one day and go, I'm going to let my house go like a hoarder house. Like that. It doesn't happen. It's mostly caused by trauma or mental health issues, and things like that. And I think that's why my mum succeeds so much, like on her side, and I've learned a lot of that from her as well. And you know, my mum's always told me, like, no matter, you know, matter what happens in life, you always treat people the way, like, you would expect to get treated back. And, you know, have that compassion for people, especially when you see people who are going through a right hard time. And I'm like, I know, but nobody does that for us when we have a hard time. She's like, no, of course we don't, because we're here to suffer. And I'm like, stop fucking saying that, because your words going into the universe. They'll keep making you
Mm,
suffer. So, you
mm.
know, so it's I think I actually think sometimes we've failed as a society.
Yeah, do you know what? If you look at it from one perspective, I like looking at things from lots of different perspectives. So if you look at it from one perspective, you can look and go, what has happened?
Yeah.
Like seriously, what has happened? Um, for me, the best thing I've done for when I speak to other people and interact with other people is how I treat myself.
Yeah.
So because I'm more softer with myself, I'm more compassionate with myself, I've got more compassion for everyone else.
Yeah.
And yeah, we may live differently, but I've got more compassion because I've had to have compassion for me in my life from when I fucked up or I was programmed to do this or my traumas just, I was living my traumas, not living me because I didn't know who me was. So I've had to have a lot of bloody compassion for myself for, let's say, mistakes or stuff like everything. And yeah, so from that perspective, like, to have compassion, just how you treat yourself is going to be outwardly. And then I think for me, I don't know about yourself, it's got me better with using discernment. So living as frequency first for me. So because I've been able to be more compassionate with myself, and maybe it might be the same for you with how you're living your life now, like your business, and you've just finished university, which is absolutely amazing, as well as doing your photography
I know.
and bringing up your children and everything. Because I'm treating myself differently in here and in here, my discernment, I don't know, comes online more and it feels more clearer to me. So if someone invites me to do something and I don't want to do it and my body goes like that, I'm quite happy to say no, but in a loving way.
Yeah, I know. And it, like, yeah, the way you speak to, like, because I always feel like, you know, hurt people hurt people. So it's like when someone does something, I'm like, "Do you know what? That's actually got nothing to do with me. That's, you know, that's a total reflection on themselves."
Mm.
It is hard. It really, really is hard. And I think, you know, with how hard like life is, and you know, social media, I've got to cut like a lot of that out. You know, when I see things, and I see things like completely different, and like the
Mm.
whole, it's weird, right? So like things that are happening in the world, I can't watch it online because I feel it, if that makes sense. So like all the stuff that's going on in Gaza and things, I just cannot watch it because like I feel it, like I can physically and emotionally feel it. And then my brain starts to work on me, and then these dreams start coming in, and it's like as a person, I can't do anything. And it's the same way, like, you know, coming in here like with the UK and like the propaganda and how like, you know, they make out that the country's running just now, and it's like I think they're scared because there's, if you think about how much light there is just now, and it's like, you know, us sitting in our houses just now, right? You've got the map of Scotland. So your big white light shining up in Inverness at the moment, mine's is shining up in Glasgow. And then you've got all these other people who are healing themselves and working on themselves. And then what they'll do is they'll fling a bit of fear in. So they're bringing things in like immigration, and, you know, they're focusing on all these hotels. And I'm not saying that there isn't bad things happening to people. There is. And you know, there was a girl that was on the news who was murdered in a hotel, and her name was Rhiannon, and it was like it's like everything in me consumed into that, and I had to take a step back because I went, that's controlling my energy, and you know, I was then looking and seeing, I would have never even have noticed before, right? But then I was starting to see
Mhm.
like that video, that propaganda has worked. So, you know, if that's worked in my brain, how many other brains is, you know, is that consumed and worked on, and then we're focusing on that, and my life's out. It's out. So it's like having to so what I do is I just kind of like switch off, and then I get conversations in my head at night, and I'm like, no, like, do you ever get that? And you're like, I can save the world, and and it's like, I'm like, what if everybody went to the bank and asked for their money to get taken out? Like, you wouldn't cope. Like, what if everybody says, I'm not going to pay my gas and electricity, or I'm not going to pay my council tax, or I'm just not going to go to work today? Like, they wouldn't know what to do. And I'm like, the power is the people. And I kept getting that. Like the power is within the people. And if we all came together, they wouldn't be there. And it was like, and I was like, I was actually driving myself insane. And I'm like, this needs to stop. So it's like catching myself. And obviously I know for a fact there's other people out there that have experienced the system and corruption. And, I'm experiencing that at the moment. I can't really go into it but I'm going through like, a journey where I'm having to take on responsibility for someone else's child, and I'm working with social services, and, I took my son out. I'm homeschooling Ria, but I'm getting to the stage where I might actually have to put her into school because financially I need to do it. So like being in the system and things like that, I don't know if further down the line I'll get more involved with that. I don't know. I don't know. Right now it's like, I think the month of December just throws everybody else as well away.
Yeah, yeah. I think, see, when, like, I've said it in my life, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm never going to do that, and I'm like, but actually, how can I say that until I'm at that space of time? Actually, I have no idea
No.
of what I would do, because one, I'm not said person, and one, I'm not at that space. So a biggie for me is, I don't say it as much now as, oh no, I'm not going to do that. Or why is this person doing that? Or why is this person doing that? Or why is this person watch videos? See, like what we were talking about, yeah? Because I look over at Ben and Ben's watching video, and I'm like, oh, mm, so I might have a little watch, and then I might not, because, like you say, it can take over. Stuff's happening, and it is happening. So I'm not saying it's not happening, but if I put energy into that, then that's just making a not nice thing expand and grow more. So I don't want to put energy in that. Yes, I'm not saying it's not happening, but I try not to watch, because the only thing I can do to change the world is work on me. But society now, we're all on technology, aren't we? And
When
this
it's
is
like,
why I think
yeah, and it's
this
the
is why
way
I think
forward.
groups, yeah, like what you're doing, Ray, for men and women, sound healing, cold water, hill climbing, like, to really touch ground, get back to self and nature. So what you're bringing for people in your community, and further, because you do retreats as well, is amazing, to bring people back to themselves, so they know it's themselves.
Yeah, but
What's
it's
the
not.
key?
Yeah, but it's not even that as well. Like, it's not about. I mean, if there's people on a spiritual path and they get it, then that's amazing. But there's also another side. If you're a human being who is run to the ground with, like, you've got a very stressful job, you've got kids, you're in this, you're in this system where you get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you get an hour to yourself, you get your kids to school, you drop them off at school, you go to work, you come back, on a Monday you're having spaghetti bolognese, on a Tuesday you're having bangers and mash, on a Wednesday you're having chicken nuggets and chips, on a Friday, if you're lucky, you can get a takeaway, you know, things like
Yeah,
that. It's to go to a retreat, join like-minded people, speak to different women, and I think the connection with me that I've cracked is the kitchen environment. So it's like, that's what the idea for me was, like being back in the 90s and being in that kitchen. And I always remember being surrounded with women. It's like, fresh bread, proper meals, you know,
mm,
it started off like us all cooking our own stuff, and then I was observing it, and I was like, this is carnage. You could see everybody was shattered. So then I brought my
yeah,
aunt in, and she's providing all the meals, and that's, a couple of the women had gave reviews back, and they're like, see just being able to sit down, have a conversation, have someone make a warm dinner for you. And I'm like, because as a mum, you don't get that, especially in the early years. You don't have a warm meal. I mean, she's 5 and I still have to share a meal with her. You know, I put extra on my
Mm,
plate because I know she's going to, and that's just automatic. So it's like giving people, women, a break really from
yeah.
the world, and allowing them to have a good sleep, allowing them to feel safe as well. You know, there's a lot of women that come to me, and I know what that feels like. I know what it is to lie in your bed and your door knocks and you jump, and you know, being through that side of trauma and not feeling safe in your own house and things like that as well. So it's to me, it's like, you know, getting people to join up in rooms and feel safe and talk to each other, and you know, and you just don't know who you're going to meet. You might go on a retreat and you might meet your best mate for life. You
Yeah.
might meet someone and it might be your life partner for life, or you might meet
Mm,
someone who invites you to a birthday party, and then you meet, you know, and it's like I always say to people as well, like, you know, for me, it's like looking for love. Like, try not to go on dating websites, try not to go online too much, and you know, put it out to the universe, and let the universe, do it for you. And essentially, when you're manifesting things, it's like going into a restaurant, ordering what you order, you give it over to the waiter, and then they take care of it and they serve it to you in a plate. And that's basically how the universe works. And that's, you know, you're writing it down your mat and you're leaving it to the universe, but the universe doesn't have a time frame. Then you have to be in alignment. They have, so, you know, there's so much shit that comes into it that I've still not figured out, but this is just my path, like, so far, and things that I've figured out myself. But it's, for me, the most important thing is giving a safe place, getting people to restart, refocus, you know, and you can actually do that as many fucking times as you want. You can go January to
yeah.
March and your life could be a shit show. Like me, cars break down, washing machines, you know, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, do you know what? I'm going to just take time to myself and I'm just going to restart. But I always used to do it like I'll restart on Monday. And that was always like a diet thing. Like I'll start my diet on Monday. And
Yeah.
Monday never ever comes. So I've
No.
started to, if I want to restart, or I want to restart my diet or something, I'll do it on a Wednesday, and I'll do it a Thursday, because in my brain I'm more likely to, you know, stick to that plan, because I'm not like just waiting for the Monday, which I
Yeah.
think is another thing that's kind of like drilled into our head of society as well. New Year, I don't do New
Me
Year
either.
anymore. I start New Year doing a nice walk in cold water, bringing people
Yeah.
in. My New Year doesn't start till like April, springtime, because in January I'm still grumpy, I'm still freezing,
Hibernating.
still dark.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I don't want a life. I'm like, it's January, I'm skint, I'm fat, I'm shattered. I don't want to look at another
leave me
potato.
alone. It's like, leave me alone. Drop me out. Yeah. Yeah, literally. And I think this year's going to be a really cold one as well. We come back off holiday to snow. So we was in, in sunshine and come back to snow. And I'm like, what the fuck? No.
I know, I know. And
Oh,
I've
crazy.
not travelled in like 2019 was the last time I was abroad. It was so,
Mm.
I just keep going and finding these places in Scotland. And I actually need to record, like
Beautiful
I did record
places.
a place in Glencoe people kept asking me for, but I really do need to record, you know, places where I go and like why I done it. Like there's certain wee places
Mhm.
that I go that are totally secluded, and sometimes I go to places when I've went through something really, really, really terrible or bad, or I go to that place, and you know I always take my angel cards with me. I always, like, you know, have a wee crystal in my bag. And then there's different places I go to, like when I'm happy. I mean, Glencoe, I could go there and any bit, like anything. But certain
Yeah.
places I won't go because no, I went there when I was full of trauma, or I went there like,
Mm.
you know, when it. So there's certain places I don't go back to, but um, Glencoe just, it's just the place for me. I think everybody that looks at
It
my
calls
social
to
media
you.
must actually think
Yeah.
I live there.
Yeah, it calls to you. And do you know what? I've seen like you post some amazing videos while you've been there and photos, and they've just been amazing. But so, where can people find out more about you and what you do? And I will link everything when I
So I'm
put
on
this video out.
TikTok, I have a Facebook group, and I've just started an Instagram from scratch, which is really, really hard because I'm running all these kind of like social medias for my job. I'm running other people's social medias and as well as my own. But TikTok is like the main one, and every single one of them has a link on it. So I've created ebooks. So I've got my manifesting journals that help me manifest. I've also put in like self-care plans, like 21-day self-care plans. And I've actually like tailored out. So like how to like kind of get your life back on track. I've then created like a 30-day no contact as well, like for you're going through a breakup, because I thought that was really important because that was how I started my journey. And I think as us as women, when we go through a relationship breakup, we're not really going through, it's not just a relationship breakup, it's like basically a spiritual awakening. And you don't realise that until you look back, because you're like, that's the universe testing me. I always think that, you know, the universe will give you the same person but in a different form until you learn, until you say no, enough is enough. And it's like things like not setting boundaries and not having self-respect for yourself and not, you know, pouring yourself into someone else, and you totally neglect your own life. And then when they turn it to be an arsehole, you're like, why did I do that? And you spend days in bed and your life just falls to shit, and you start to look on social media and you're basically grieving for someone who's still alive. So you're going through a grieving process and yourself. And it's breaking that contact, because if you don't break that contact, it's still in your mind. So you're not giving yourself that chance to fully heal and learn. I don't have like much big groups either. So I always tend to keep my groups small because I like to feel like I'm going round everybody and they get, you know, what they need from that session. But I can't fully go into detail about certain things. So I've started creating ebooks for, you know, different things that, you know, people ask and request. And then there's the booking the event side on it, if you want an actual like shooting event.
Okay, then. So we'll link all of that. What is your TikTok? What is the name of your TikTok so people? I will link it.
TPH group.
Yeah, okay. So I will link that. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. And
It's lovely seeing you again.
yeah, it's been lovely chatting with you again. And maybe have you back on 3 or 4 months down the line and see where you are and see how life's going and all the people you're helping.
I know, and myself as well. That's the most important.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, then. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.